If you found this video enjoyable, please leave a like and hell, even subscribe if you want to. It only takes 2 clicks, and push that notification bell just to get the messages for my videos. That would be greatly appreciated. Wonder Review versus D4C, an argument that has been made up by me several months ago. While talking about Wonder Review in a Most Terrifying Stands video, I had made the argument saying that Wonder Review is probably most likely the 3rd strongest stand in the series, failing to mention the fact of D4C Love Train. Since I forgot about it, my bad. Which then led to a power scaling discussion video talking about JoJo power scaling and how the system in JoJo is really weird and how fights can just be really abstract and kind of almost crazy in a sense, bizarre even. And a question was pondered in that video, whether or not D4C Love Train versus Wonder Review can be, scaled or even, talked about on this channel. And of course, every once in a while, I do post a power scaling relating video on the channel, and a lot of the time it does really well. But this is kind of a one that almost has a mythical status on the channel, which is now finally getting talked about. Toru, the stand user of Wonder Review, versus Funny Valentine, one of the presidents of the United States of America, with his stand D4C and his stand evolution D4C Love Train. So now let me clarify something. Wonder Review is still a pretty early stand in the series, and there is a lack of information on him, meaning that there are basically 0 guides to him, and what me and Jobber had to do in this video is analyze manga panels pretty critically, and you'll see throughout the video where me and him kind of hesitate and hold back just to not spread misinformation on Wonder Review, meaning that this argument is going to last a while. There's not going to be a definitive answer as of right now, but me and Jobber will give a winner. But most likely in the future, if Araki were to release a guidebook or, give his official grace to a guidebook saying Wonder Review has X, Y, and Z ability that we did not get to see in the series, this argument can change. So this isn't going to be the end-all be-all of this argument, just a rough idea of everything and what can be presented at the current time. Toru is the main protagonist of JoJo, and he's a part-time medical student at TG University Hospital, with ties to the hospital's head doctor. He's eventually revealed to be a rock human with a stand, Wonder Review, wielding the power of Calamity. Much about him is still unknown. Wonder Review moves extremely slowly, but is always ahead of the people he's being chased after, seemingly like Wonder Review can teleport in front of people. While pursuing Wonder Review, Josuke's friends bump into things temporarily, stopping him from physically pursuing Wonder Review. Later, his legs fall off because of this. Wonder Review has some form of durability negation. Josuke and friends try to surround Wonder Review, but they fail, seeing Wonder Review from different perspectives. Once again, Wonder Review seemingly teleports to some degree. To some degree, Wonder Review wants you to chase him, and in that act, things like abnormal events start to occur almost randomly. For example, metal things break off the cars flying towards Josuke's face, but he takes the damage with his hand instead. Wonder Review's ability influences normal people as shown with a car driving into Josuke. Josuke doesn't let the man who was driving the car touch him, and suddenly the man dies by his neck randomly snapping. Seemingly, Wonder Review's ability for a brief period was redirected towards that man. Finally, no one can perceive the shape of Wonder Review's attacks or the direction they're coming from. That's the exact attacks Wonder Review emits. When Wonder Review lingers around by a nearby environment and someone tries to face and attacks him, he randomly disappears. One of the crazier Wonder Review feats is when Wonder Review makes the rain go through the bodies of Josuke and Mamazuku, as another form of durability negation. This severely injures Josuke, Wonder Review now showing again that he can affect multiple people who just thought of him. This feat alone could possibly show that Wonder Review is large town level at least. Josuke wakes up and knocks out the officer with the intent of pursuing Wonder Review, but the officer, influenced by Wonder Review, falls on him, causing major internal and external damage to Josuke. Josuke is now on the brink of death after this incident. Wonder Review even affects people who don't even see him by trying to attack him. He puts a small metal rod in the victim, causing a person to bleed out with a flower pot crushing him. Also, Wonder Review literally has the power to snap people's necks, so that's also a thing as well. Wonder Review always lingers. He'll even attempt to get you to pursue him when you're not even looking at him. The best strategy to beat Wonder Review at this current point in time is to make Wonder Review come to you. But even then, Wonder Review doesn't even need to be physically present, literally becoming a reflection on the wall. The head doctor himself is a stand. He is an automatic tracking stand at that. Probably a little bit more manual than automatic, but still automatic. And if nothing is present to actually physically harm you in any way, Wonder Review / Toru can use rock animals to influence the fight if needed. Everything in the JoJo's world is a weapon for Wonder Review. Having the power of Calamity, pursuing Wonder Review for any amount of time will lead to disaster at some point. Wonder Review operates on the flow of Calamity, and because of that, he wasn't able to be hit at point blank range ever, to the point where no one has ever even hurt Wonder Review up until this arc. Wonder Review's power to manipulate the flow of Calamity is so strong it makes Josuke's soap bubbles attack Mamazuku, then manipulate an airplane to have a piece of metal fly off to hit a pursuing target. And for whatever reason, Wonder Review pulls off some Final Destination shit by shifting the Calamity to kill someone else instead of the previous person, meaning there is some type of list, apparently. Wonder Review eventually shows that he can make even your own attacks turn around and hurt you instead, and making more Calamity damage ensue indefinitely. The only thing that is shown capable of even hurting Wonder Review is Josuke's new spin ability, Soft and Wet Go Beyond. These new soap bubbles can spin so fast they are literally infinitely close to zero. If you can't see them, they don't exist, then you probably can't control them. These spinning bubbles transcend the logic of calamities and go beyond reason. The act of pursuing Wonder Review is certain to be a severe disaster that is sent back to the attacker. That is because the flow of calamity, which is the flow of reason. The logic of the world is linked together in a continuous chain. And crazy enough, even if both users of Wonder Review die, that meaning Toru and Wonder Review, the head doctor will still exist and kill its targets because he is literally calamity energy incarnate. The laws of calamity are just things that exist in this world that can never go away. And this is even backed up by Araki with some of the stand guides. Stands are endless with phenomenal powers that can sometimes destroy matter, sometimes spread plagues, and sometimes dominate time and space with the interference with the rules of the world. Possibly it's a hidden ability. Wonder Review fits into the broader spectrum of what Araki's intending on how powerful stands like Wonder Review can be. And when talking about Wonder Review and his abilities and stats, they're kind of unknown at the current point in time. We don't have any major information on him, sadly, as I explained earlier in the video. But we can definitely say that he has probably a planetary range on a high ball, and at a low ball, he is for sure large town level. Basically saying the entire world is Wonder Review's weapon, with multiple statements and evidence showing that he is indeed that.
Valentine was once a soldier for the United States. Valentine joined the Puritan search party in search of something. Everything perished except for Valentine, who gained the heart of Jesus Christ. After that, Valentine rose in the ranks and quickly became the 23rd president of the United States in 1889. Valentine knew that there must be more corpse parts out there, so he sought them out so that the United States would have an ultimate power on their side. Valentine can survive fatal injuries long enough to find or stumble into objects that he can go between in order to go to a different dimension and switch consciousness with another, unarmed version of himself. D4C can negate certain attacks by BFRing them into a different dimension as soon as an attack hits him, like a ball, for example, right? Like, you throw a ball in his face, let's say Valentine's backed up to a wall, he just BFRs it to a different dimension through his face, so he can just neg certain attacks. Valentine passively uses D4C to let, Valentine himself go into just different dimensions when put in between objects, but also people, as when Valentine was put in between, a wall and Diego, Valentine can reappear anywhere and, even out of people, and attack at the same time. Valentine has, the American flag, which he carries around so he can, go to other dimensions. So he always has that on him as an option. Let's say he's out in the field, well, he's just gonna have the American flag and just use that. Valentine can drag other people into, a different dimension. This is a way of BFR. And just so you know, BFR means battlefield removal. So Valentine can bring, multiple versions of himself into battle and to confuse his opponents. He even dimension hop two people to shoot Johnny. If you meet an alternate version of yourself because of D4C, you will be drawn towards yourself and be merged into one and just obliterated. Now this is a durability negation attack. The dimensions are just called neighboring worlds, but are classified as quote new worlds later on. These dimensions are very similar to our own. Valentine suffers many fatal injuries but still manages to escape to a different dimension self. Another example of just D4C BFR is when D4C puts a different dimension Diego and Hot Pants close against each other just to annihilate them. D4C, so here's here's a D4C explanation, right? So the ability to travel limitlessly to other dimensions by getting caught between two objects. If if the same objects or people from other dimensions just meet, they will both be annihilated. The exception is President Valentine. The ability of D4C is formidable to go up against because there's so many unique ways Valentine can get in between objects and go into like a different dimension. An example is like when he's in between like the floor and a person coming down on him from above, a curtain and a wall, etc. Valentine still manages to escape into a different dimension before he dies from like having his neck cut open and shit. Now Valentine uses water poured on him to travel into a different dimension. The only way to defeat Valentine is to kill him instantly, along with other versions of stuff that he brings into the battle before they can dimension hop. Every version of Valentine are the same physically, they think the same, they act the same, and also the number of neighboring worlds / dimensions are just infinite. I'm talking about the number, not the size of the universes. Valentine has his guts ripped out and has been like slashed deep, but still manages to dimension hop in the wheels like a train and just drags his opponent with him, so his opponent would just be ripped in half. A passive attack from D4C Love Train is it has like an AoE, which is an area effect where if you touch certain things affected by D4C Love Train, everything will be drawn towards you and be put in your body that will just go straight to your heart. Even window frames just crushed themselves in order to do that. With all the corpse parts, D4C Love Train reaches a higher level and just land right. It just draws closer to Valentine. Now D4C can just BFR test stack 2 bullets no problem. D4C Love Train can BFR attacks that directly hit Valentine and also just seemingly just heal him from them. Harmful things are blown away, filtered through the dimensional walls of D4C Love Train. Now, D4C Love Train passively makes scars into redirected misfortune that attack you and move to your heart to kill you. Now, here's a second D4C explanation. Well, the only thing new here is that the stand has a range of 2 meters. Other information is the same stuff we already know. Now, D4C Love Train just sucks in attacks that it considers misfortune and blasts off into a different dimension. The attack itself doesn't kill people when BFR'd, but its misfortune does. Valentine hides within D4C's D4C Love Train's gap in space within the light. Valentine is capable of moving in this light where wherever he just wants to be, essentially. Now, D4C Love Train BFR'd and attack into the future, specifically the end of the Vietnam War. Evidence of this is the rifle the soldier is holding, which is the M7 Bayonet M16 rifle Viet Cong used in the Vietnam War. And finally, there's a picture in the background that says Saigon. The picture means the fall of Saigon, which ended the Vietnam War in 1975. And keep in mind, the events of the Steel Ball Run race take place in 1890. Now, Valentine within D4C Love Train doesn't need to be a physical presence, as he's flat on the tracks and grass within the light / gap in space. Gravity can move in between dimensions, and gravity moves along with Valentine and D4C. Valentine should scale to gravity in reaction and combat speed, while D4C just scales to it in reaction time, combat speed, and travel speed. And gravity's faster than light. Also be a link for that in the description. Now, D4C Love Train explanation, quote, "The phenomenon blows unfortunate things away to other places on the earth, leaving only good things behind." Alright, now back to this. So D4C Love Train blasts, quote, bad things away. Also, the range and AoE area effect of D4C Love Train has been calced from City to City Plus because D4C Love Train is powered by the Holy Corpse, which had the power to create a massive storm and move and shit. Now, Valentine can still summon different dimensions of himself with D4C Love Train to help him in battle, but they don't have Love Train. Now, D4C has dimensional wall. Now, confirmation from Valentine himself that wound affected by D4C Love Train will move into your heart, it will just kill you. Anything affected by D4C Love Train that you touch, it's just gonna move into your heart and kill you. Now, underground attacks won't work on D4C Love Train. Johnny already tried that. Valentine and D4C took a beating from Tusk Act 4 and survived. This was calced from small building to city block level. As a low end for Valentine and D4C in speed, Valentine should at least be relative to Johnny's nail bullets for speed when it comes to reaction time in combat, as Valentine shows he can react to them and fight at the same time. Now, Johnny's nail bullets were calced at massively hypersonic. Now, parallel worlds can exist in the same place at the same time. Like, I'm reading from the guide, okay? So, this ability, like, complicates Jonathan as a result of the joint battle with Dio and Wakapico. It turns out that the president has the ability to move, in parentheses, in a parallel world by being caught in between something. Only the president, who is the main body, can exist at the same time as those who came from the parallel world. Other human beings are not allowed to exist in both collabs. A stand that has the ability to go back and forth between parallel worlds by being sandwiched between objects, and to replace the main body from another world. Doors and walls and even raindrops and floors can be moved, and other humans can be sent or taken out to different worlds in the same. Move in a parallel world and confuse your opponent. Another thing, the president who appears in the place of himself in a parallel world, no matter how many times he defeats him, unless he is killed instantly by being blocked by a multi-dimensional body many times. It's also stated that, Valentine also has immortality technically, because of the main version themselves. So, Valentine was killed by the, quote, multi-dimensional body that is Tusk Act 4. Tusk Act 4 transcends the dimension of time in, dimensions. The ability to transcend dimensions crushes, President Valentine, who moves in another world. And that was quoted. Another quote, that rotation pierces through other dimensions. So one more scan of the guidebook saying D4C Love Train. It's an evolution that transcends dimensions. Now, it's a good light corpse that repels all evil. It is a phenomenon that appears in Lucy, who has taken in all of the above and the ability to be on the side of President. The gap in light that originates from her diminishes all harm inflicted somewhere. Now, there's another scan from Araki himself. It's like, when it comes to these stands being this powerful, he even slates himself in this guy. He says that, literally, stands are like endless paranormal powers that can sometimes destroy matter, sometimes spread plague, and sometimes dominate time and space and interfere with the rules of the world. Possibly is a hidden ability. Obviously, D4C Love Train fits into the category of dominate time and space. Now, space-time continuums and parallel dimensions are different universes in JoJo, often referred to as new worlds, which Valentine refers to his as. The amount of dimensions that exist in Steel Ball 1 are just limitless, aka infinite. Now, in terms of scaling for, D4C Love Train, fighting Valentine, right? So for AP, I'd say D4C Love Train's like, oh yeah, keep in mind real quick, is that when I'm scaling for these, three things, right? D4C and D4C Love Train, fight Valentine. It's not end all be all, right? This is just simply my interpretation of the evidence given. You could probably come to different conclusions, that's fine. Y'all do your thing, right? But this is just where I got to. So for AP, it's large building level to city block for just normal D4C, because he can hurt and cut off body parts of a Johnny, and he just shoots himself with his own active bullets, which were also scaled off to just small building to city block in my last video. Now, when it comes to destructive capability, I just put that at wall level. His travel speed could either be massively hypersonic or faster in light. Reaction time and combat speed's the same thing. His hacks is just durability negation via just battlefield removal, and durability is small building level or city block. Now, D4C Love Train, just going over dimensional walls, only that in particular. His AP, it's only durability negation if just D4C touches you. Now, its destructive capability is city to city plus, if you refer to the calc that I mentioned earlier. Also, Love Train was literally pulling the entire Atlantic Ocean towards him and just blowing away houses and land. For travel speed to combat speed, reaction time, they're all the same. Massively hypersonic or faster in light. And now when it comes to the hacks, you could either get it from I'd say let's go for the low ball, right? So low ball, you get to, let's say, infinite 3D, right? Or mid ball, universal plus. And high ball, if you want to use fate and gravity scaling, you could probably get high multi or low multi, depends. Which I'm gonna release a video on talking about fate and how high it scales in JoJo. Now, Funny Valentine, just himself, he's just wall level. Same with his destructive capability, wall level. Travel speed, peak human, reaction time is quite literally the same as his stand. Same with combat speed, massive hypersonic or just faster in light. Now, durability is small building level or city block. Now, his hacks, he just can negate durability just via BFR, and also negate attack damage via BFR.
So when it honestly comes down to Wonder Review versus D4C, me and Jobber can agree that Wonder Review can win this fight pretty high diff.
Yeah, Wonder Review wins high difficulty. If someone just put a gun at our heads and tell us to pick, because it could be a tie between the two, because Valentine's very capable, but Wonder Review is also dangerous. We just side with like Wonder Review comfortably, like for high div.
Yeah, Wonder Review has a lot of things on his side that just kind of make both of us lean towards him a lot more in this fight. And somebody is, of course, going to bring up the Kato move where she was like, I'm not trying to attack Wonder Review. That's how I got so close. And then the split second she thought of attacking him or getting close to him, of course, the flow of Calamity had activated, and then she literally died a whole page later. So even if Valentine wanted to somehow get close to him without actually getting close to him, somehow, most likely a scenario like that would happen. So it wouldn't really matter there. And these guys are really similar, like in base forms. Nothing major here. No like crazy bust from the Holy Corpse. They're kind of even, and it's kind of surprising. But me and Jobber just have to lean towards Wonder Review just because of how the flow of Calamity works and just how the scenario in that arc really just pushed towards Wonder Review. Like, Wonder Review's fucking stupid, but Love Train's even stupider.
Yeah, that's something I can agree on right there. Like, you know, the reason like this fight's just going to be a really long fight, honestly, just the Wonder Review arc, but like longer. Because, you know, there's some points where Wonder Review's ability would just one-shot people rather than just, like, simply hurting them. And eventually there's just going to get to a point in the fight where Wonder Review's ability is just going to one-shot Valentine, like, completely snap his neck, give him instant death before he can, like, go to a different, like, world to switch consciousness and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of arguments here. You could say, well, why can't Valentine do this? And then literally, I can guarantee you, somebody's going to say, well, what if he switches dimensions like right before? Well, like, Wonder if you can attack right before that. So there's a lot of, hey, this could happen, but you can automatically refute it with the flow of Calamity. It's like kind of like that argument. It's like an instant counter, more or less. Like, this fight is just, D4C can do this, but Wonder Review can do this. That's how this is just gonna go down, sadly.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of like just the hacks of Wonder Review to just make this fight just get drawn out. It's like, I don't know, Wonder Review throws a ball towards like a Valentine's head. Guess what? Since he's between a surface, he makes the ball go somewhere else. Like, things like that just make the battle just get prolonged until, you know, the eventuality of Wonder Review just winning.
Yeah, and there's a lot to cover here. Remember, me and Jarber aren't going really to like the fucking crazy shit with Wonder Review, because there's a lot of things we could say, like, oh, a random person shows up because the flow of Calamity for whatever reason. Like, me and Jobber can say that, and even in the argument with D4C Love Train, which Jobber will kind of explain here soon, is that there's a lot of those hypotheticals, and this is one of the major fights in JoJo where there can be a lot of hypotheticals. D4C can do a lot of shit, and so can Wonder Review. So we're talking about the bare basics here, just like to the nitty gritty of it all. And just from that alone, I just have to go towards Wonder Review in this fight. It's just the flow of Calamity is fucking dumb. That's more or less this entire part right here.
Yeah. And also, like, the final point is that, like, Toru, like, the stand user, he's in this fight, he's just gonna be, like, safe no matter what, because he's just gonna be, let's say, like, they're fighting in a town, right? Like, it's D4C with Valentine. They're fighting Wonder Review. And Valentine's like, shit, I gotta find the stand user. He's gotta be around here somewhere. Makes clones of himself, or, different dimensions, versions of himself, right? Pulls them into battle. And makes them go out to seek the other stand user. Well, too bad, because he's technically still pursuing Wonder Review, so they're gonna get one-shotted by the effects of the stand. And it's just kind of a no-win scenario. Yeah,
more or less, Toru is going to be safe this entire fight. So it's more or less Valentine versus Wonder Review, which is actually kind of unique, and we don't really see that often in JoJo's.
Now, here's why just D4C Love Train wins. And it's very simple. D4C Love Train is a direct counter to Wonder Review. Wonder Review, just sends bad things to Valentine's way, and Love Train just blows away bad things. It's pretty straightforward. Now, Wonder Review can't even, use, an AoE attack, used against, certain characters where he just, oh, well, I'm gonna use a plane or some shit, right? Let's make this a crazy scenario. Let's say a fucking meteor drops, down. This meteor can, destroy a city. The thing is, Valentine with Love Train has, the range and AoE hacks, so that's not really gonna affect him. He's just gonna, the explosive damage from that meteor, it's just gonna be misfortune. That's all gonna be redirected away, and just Valentine's just gonna stand there okay, that's cool. Our range is pretty good, so it's not really gonna affect him. Plus, it'd be kind of weird to argue, I don't know, meteor's infinite 3D or universal. Well, either way, that's just one problem. Now, Valentine himself, let's say, for example, let's make a hypothetical if he were just to get hurt by all the weird-ass Wonder Review shit, right? All that shit that happens to other characters, it's insane damage. I'm not gonna lie. Now, Wonder Review does have, at certain points he can one-shot people, but it's kind of random. But I'm gonna go off consistency that, Valentine's just gonna get really badly hurt. And we've already seen Valentine get really badly hurt, his neck cut open, his guts ripped out, and he's still able to just go into a different dimension. He's still able to make it. So I consistently go with the fact that even if he did get hurt by, like, you know, just Wonder Review, he'd simply just swap places with just a different version of himself. It's really a no-win for, like, Wonder Review. So end of the day, Valentine would just simply walk up to Wonder Review and just Battlefield remove him, and then Wonder Review just dies because he just meets a different version of himself. And even if, like, Valentine kills Wonder Review and Wonder Review is just Calamity energy, right, Valentine would still just go up and be a fart. There's else like Wonder Review can do, essentially. Plus, it seems like as a Calamity energy, he needs to, like, possess people or some shit. It's either way, possessing or just being energy. Valentine's just gonna see it and be like, oh shit, well, just be a Fario. So yeah, Valentine wins, no difficulty.
So when talking Wonder Review versus D4C Love Train, it almost seems one-sided in fairness to D4C Love Train, having almost every counter active ability. But if I were to give Wonder Review kind of a headcanon perspective and see through on how all of his abilities work and all of his feats shown, you could hypothetically say he stands a better chance. If you were to say maybe the flow of Calamity is infinite and it somehow can cross dimensions, yeah, maybe we can say Wonder Review can beat Love Train, but it's such a headcanon approach, and with the lack of information, I can't really say any of that, and that's why me and Jobber are playing such a safe thing with Wonder Review. I don't really want to assume a lot of Wonder Review's abilities, but if I were to highball a lot of his powers and give him a very, very, very headcanon-y approach, yeah, you could say Wonder Review can beat Love Train, but it's so far-fetched that I just can't really say, yeah, sure. To be honest, it just shows that Love Train is just a ridiculously powerful stand. You need to give a stand like Wonder Review massive buffs and a lot of headcanon-y statements and just kind of, you know, warping the panels in favor to even really give a half-decent argument saying Wonder Review could beat D4C Love Train. So, At the end of the day, of course, in this fight, there is a lot of hypotheticals, a lot of, hey this, hey that. But more or less, when it's D4C Love Train versus Wonder Review, Love Train fucking stomps. Like, no holds bars, fucking stomps. You have to create such an argument with Wonder Review without hacks that it's ridiculous. Like, Love Train slaughters easily. The only way Wonder Review is winning is through some stuff that you could hypothetically say and maybe say, hey, this is my interpretation how, you know, the text is and the ending part of the Wonder Review arc, etc., etc. But more or less, yeah, no, D4C is the fourth strongest stand in the series definitively now. A 10-month long journey into who could win a fight.
Yep, it's certainly been a wild ride with this versus. It's very unique, like, for sure. Like, honestly, yeah, just a great fight. Like, Wonder Review versus D4C Love Train, even though, like, it's like a stomp, I do like the concept of it. And I do think that Wonder Review, like, even though there's not much known on him, like, maybe some more guides come out, we get more information about him. Maybe he gets some higher scaling. But this is what we think, personally, that, like, would just win the fight in general, would just be D4C Love Train. And then if it's just D4C versus Wonder Review, then there's Wonder Review. But of course, it's just our perspectives.
Yeah, this argument is going to continuously evolve over years. I do think I have a big enough standing in the JoJo community where this topic is probably going to be talked about for a while. So most likely arguments will, of course, change and evolve over time. And I think this is probably going to be one of the bigger ones. So yeah, this was a pretty interesting fight overall. And, you know, it's been a wild journey. And I think Jabba deserves his credit helping me with this video. It was a long process to do all of the stuff, rereading chapters, analyzing the stands, getting the arguments prepared. So, Jobber, free promotion, go.
Oh yeah, well, everyone make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing a collab with Metas very soon on the questionable ending of JoJo Part 8. Like,
we're recording this during, like, right after that live stream premiere thingy, Bobber. So just FYI.
Yeah, we're recording right after that stream. It was pretty crazy, but like yeah, we're going to be doing the Gappy video, how strong is he, you know, and also make sure to, like, join my Discord server where I have, like, you know, lots of, like, JoJo calcs, JoJo guides and interviews, a lot of fun activities, you know, for active people on the server, and, yeah, that's about it.
All right, well, that's the end of a long video and a long-running argument. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, stay hydrated. See you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen.